say, guys, give me a 5 for 5 and we will rock and roll with this, if you know what I'm saying. Man, we have got some activity going on around here. Yeah, faux show. You know. Guys, please take time to share this real quick. This is, if I have to say, I'm just going to say it right off the bat. Nothing to be scared of here, okay? But I also want to say, these are the times that we want to watch this closely, okay? The sun just keeps on erupting. It definitely is not slowing down. Now, we've seen this happen on the backside of the sun, this sun cycle, once before. I think twice. It just wasn't aimed at Earth. It seems as though all of these, I mean, a couple of these are like just dead center on the sun, right, aiming right at us. It is, it's something to behold, I guess, if you want to say it like that. Beautiful eruptions. I mean, some of these I guarantee you are going to end up in the textbooks. You know, we've all seen the one where the SDO image where the filament blast off. I think it was like it was pretty close to equatorial, but I think it was on the southern end of equatorial. And it kind of shot off towards a little bit towards the, I guess it would be the east when you're looking at the sun, to the left. From our point of view, because when you're looking at the sun, they do direction when you're looking at it as if you're standing on the sun. So it's reverse when you're looking at it. It's like a mirror. Anyway, north-south is the same, obviously, but that's how they look at that. That's when they, you know, when you hear somebody say the east limb of the sun, they're actually talking about the left side. Okay? But yeah, so all the models are showing hit after hit after hit. Okay? We're talking at this point probably 3, 4. I mean, we could even get 5 just hits. These are from CMEs. Now, they're not all going to hit direct, but a few of them look like they're going to. Also, look at this. This just happened a few hours ago. That's a long duration flare. Okay? And it was, it couldn't have got more center on the sun facing us. I mean, you know, shout out to Timothy Scove. She, you know, she calls it the Earth Strike Zone. I'm not sure if she came up with that or if it's just a term people use, but I've used it since the beginning of my channel because I heard her talk using that term. But in the Earth Strike Zone means it's right in front of us. If something blasts off the sun in that position, it most likely is going to hit. But we're seeing partial halo signatures. We're seeing full halo signatures. And this is when it gets very, very difficult to forecast this stuff. There's so many things happening at once that it is just, yeah. It really, truly is something to behold. When these things are popping off like this, and I've talked about this before, I mean, it's extremely hard for the forecasters to get a hold of this. I mean, you have to just take it one at a time, but something that most people don't really consider, especially when you're first getting into looking at space weather, and I didn't used to consider this either, because I didn't really understand how it all worked. I still don't in a lot of areas. I'm still learning as always, which is, again, I have to give a shout out to Timothy Scove. You guys should go over and check out her channel. It's complete. She brings it down to a level you can understand, but she's teaching you college level stuff, and it's free. I mean, she has like 3 and 4 hour, like, you know, seminars, or I can't remember what she calls it. But just basically just teaching everybody. And she uses really cool, like really down to earth examples, like our magnetic field. Our magnetic field really kind of surrounds Earth like a slinky. And we're just right in the middle of it. She actually pulls out a slinky. So it's pretty cool. The way she teaches like that. I connect with that. I understand that. And I hope you guys do too. So please go check her out. I believe I keep her channel link in my description. I'm pretty sure it's there right now. I put it in there a long time ago, but my description box changes all the time. So if it's not in there, I apologize, but I think it's there. But anyway, so yeah, this is something that we're going to have to pay attention to. First off, yeah, this is over here at NOAA. So we got solar X-ray flux, right? This is what we look at for flares. Now, I want to point something out. You guys have heard me talk about the floor of the X-ray before. Anybody that's been around for a minute. What that means when I say that, that is the base level of where the X-ray is at that time. In solar minimum, it's usually hanging out down here in the A area, okay? You get up towards solar maximum, it does creep up here in the C area. Usually it hangs out about there, sometimes higher. But I want to point out this, because say that this was hanging out up here close to the C line. It wouldn't take much more X-ray to get that up to that high, would it? So this flare was enough that it basically doubled what I just showed you there. So what I'm saying is that this is really a more powerful flare in that aspect. The eruptiveness of it. The same amount of X-ray got here, okay? Because our detectors can't say, hey, that came directly from that sunspot. All that this X-ray flux is showing you is wherever the detector is, wherever they're collecting the data, it's a collective X-ray that's hitting. All the X-ray from the sun, okay? So that includes all the other sunspots that are kind of crackling and all those kinds of things, right? But when we get the big blast, that's when you get a big spike and you get stuff like this. Okay? It's right in the middle. I mean, it can't get any more in the middle than that. Alright? Now, I want to point this out too. I'm not seeing anybody talk about this second flare after this one. Because there was a second flare. Boom. Look, watch to the right. See that? Now, what's interesting about this one is that it flung out a filament. Now, is that one going to hit too? It's got a chance just because of the way that it flicked out. Now watch over here. Because everybody's going to be concentrating on this, and they should. Because it produced a CME too. A full halo CME I have to add. And I'll show it to you here in just a second. But do you see how this second flare... Let me zoom in a little bit more for you. I am doing this a little bit kind of slow on purpose. Sometimes the internet gets slow around my house. If I have too many movie tools playing, it'll slow us down. But you guys see that. See, most people aren't going to really pick up on that right there. There's a loop right here that happens, and that's a filament that erupts off when the flare happens. Now watch, it's going to fling out. See that right? It's kind of hard to see. I get it. Right there. Okay? Now this is the 131 angstrom. Again, they could assign this thing any color that they wanted. Alright? Matter of fact, we're probably going to go to SDO here in just a second. SDO is what this satellite is. It's from our perspective. It's in geosynchronistic orbit, and I'll talk about that in a second. Because I've been getting a lot of questions about that, so I want to explain where that satellite's actually at. We had kind of like a fun little conversation over on Matthew Shipley's chat a little while ago also. The GOES 18 satellite is doing a calibration roll. I'm not sure if it kind of got knocked out of position or something for whatever reason. But when it does that, it makes the image like jump all around and stuff. We're having fun over there. It's kind of fun. Anyway, watch this right here. Okay, I don't really have to point it out because it's obvious. But this is the big flare. Okay, see how that erupts out? Now, you heard me say impulsive and you heard me say long duration flare. The long duration flares are the ones that we really get concerned about. Or we pay more attention to is probably better verbiage. And why I say that is because obviously it's a longer eruption, so it has, remember guys, an X-ray and a CME are two different things. oftentimes, like with this one, they both happen, right? The flare happened and it caused a CME. A CME is plasma leaving the sun. It gets out of the corona. Well, it doesn't have to. A CME is actually stays in the corona, right? I've been talking about this also. An ICME, which is interplanetary CME, means it actually escaped the sun on out into the solar system. All right? So the right way to say it would be ICME when it's coming at Earth. But we're going to continue to use CME also. It's just an accepted term. I get it, right? So I'm definitely not going to play semanticals on any kind of vocabulary. That's ridiculous. That's just counter fighting with yourself pretty much, really. But yeah, check that out. Now, I have to say this. Guys, we're going to see some awesome aurora from this. Okay? And I do think that there's a chance that we could see some of the things that we always talk about. I don't think this is like grid down type of stuff, but I do think that this is strong enough that in certain locations we could see some electrical issues, especially higher latitudes. It's going to greatly depend on the BZ, in my opinion. Okay? Something else that I want to point out, and as I back this off a little bit for you guys, we have a large coronal hole that's incoming too. Okay? We're going to be connecting to that here in the next 24 hours probably. If you guys can kind of see it on the 94 angstrom here, that little dark area, I'll show it to you in a different angstrom so you can see it better here in just a minute. But check this out. I got the 94 up right here because it's enough. This movie has enough data that it takes me back to the 26th. And that's when we seen the big one up here. We seen the Canyon of Fire down here. Okay? So watch what happens down in the bottom right. See that? That's that Canyon of Fire eruption. Okay, you know what? I'm going to zoom back in. See, I don't know why I did that to you guys. Sorry. So let me just click on that. And so, all right, here we go. You can kind of see that rip off right there. Okay, nope, there's the Canyon of Fire. I was a little bit before. I thought it was looking a little different. See how far that is? That's that quote-unquote Canyon of Fire. And it produced the CME. That's what they think is going to hit us first. Okay, the CME associated with that. That's supposed to hit on the 30th. Okay? Now up here is when we had the two bigger ones I showed you guys yesterday. Now, see, look at that. I said ain't. Nobody is talking about that. Or this one. This produced a CME, guys. I think we were talking about a little bit over in Matthew's chat, matter of fact. Somebody was saying, it might have been Carrington, 2024. They might have been saying something about that. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Linda. I can't remember. But somebody was saying they were tracking that one too. Now you see that? That's definitely right in front of Earth. Okay? So, again, now you guys see what happened right there? Here's that big one I showed you guys yesterday. Okay? Wham. And then these other ones erupted after. See how far that reached? It's crazy, isn't it? Check it out. It really is. That's a significant area distance-wise. Look at that. This is on the 94 angstrom. Okay, it's impressive. It really is. It's very impressive. So as we keep moving, did you guys see that? This is that second flare. Watch it here. You guys see how much plasma actually leaves? Big old cloud. Okay? And that was actually before the bigger flare. So you had that one. And that one there, I'm not sure it's going to hit us. It may give us a glancing blow, but I don't think it's a direct hit, but check it out, you know, after the bigger flare, you get another right there. I think that one has more of a chance of hitting us than the first one. And the reason why is just because of the way the filament broke. It kind of come our direction a little bit, it looked like. So we'll just have to wait and see. There's not much we can't change any of it. But we're just trying to understand. Now, you see how the 94 angstrom is showing this one? I mean, you can definitely see. And if you guys remember my report this morning I did for you guys, what was I saying? You guys remember what I said? I specifically said we needed to watch this area. Why? Because these cores were getting so close to each other that they were going to start reacting. They were intermingling, like we talk about all the time. And what just blasted off the flare? That one. Okay? It was almost an X flare. It was almost an X flare. You don't get much closer. Okay? You could almost just call it an X flare and get away with it. Because it's not much difference from where, you know, where it actually came in at. I think it was an M9. It's not like an M9.4 or 5 or something like that. It almost got the X flare. So, and, you know, you're splitting hairs when you're talking about that little bit of difference anyway. It doesn't... I'm not going to sit here and even argue about with anybody over that kind of stuff. It's just not worth it. Just a big waste of time. Okay, so here's that coronal hole. Okay, so let me run this down for you real quick. So what are we looking at? I mean, I know everybody's wondering, what in the heck? There's so much going on. How are we going to keep up with all this? Well, I guess it's kind of my job to kind of do that for you, right? I don't know if I'm going to do it much justice, but I'm going to try. Okay? So what we're going to do is, again, this is the GOES 18. And I have to say that I am, you know, the GOES 18 definition, the graphics on this is way better than the one they had on GOES 16. But, you know, it's the SDO graphics and definition still way better than this. But it is a great improvement. I almost prefer this one over the 304 version on SDO. But let me just back this up. See, it's not going to be able to take me back all the way. That's what I was afraid of. You guys see that little thing right there? Hold on. Right there. See that? I'll tell you a little bit about that conversation because it is pertinent. I guess a little anyway. What you see in there, guys, is nothing more than a calibration roll. Okay? They have to... These satellites sometimes get knocked out of position. Sometimes their collection of the data is in the, you know, I guess the data collector itself. The imager, more so than just the data collector, is probably just a fixed thing that's on the satellite. But the imager itself really needs to be able to find home. And when I say that, what that is it finds its 0 point, and then they know exactly where it's at, and they can adjust what they need to adjust. I worked on $1 million printing equipment for over 20 years, and we had to do that a lot with like our servo motors. If any of you guys know what a servo motor is, they're typically really, really small. They're not very powerful, but they're for micro adjustments. Okay, we always had to, you know, zero those out or let them find home. If you know where home's at, then you can be confident when you move it one direction or the other that it's going to go where you want it to. But if you don't find home first, what happens? You're moving it from some unknown location, and so you're not going to have any idea which way you're moving it. Okay? That's why they do these things. Okay? They have to. It's a necessity. They have to do this. Not only in something else, they have to move the equipment to keep everything moving, guys. Now, I will say this. When they get hit with, like, big-time space weather, it can knock them for a loop. It's destroyed satellites before. Okay? So, that's what I'm saying. Now, SDO is kind of this is GOES, and GOES is kind of the same way here also. It's not really out there as far as a lot of the other satellites that we use here. Like SOHO is 1,000,000 miles closer to the sun than what we are. So it has no protection from our magnetic field. SDO and GOES, they do. So, for the most part. Now, every once in a while we'll get a blast from the sun that'll compress our magnetic field in far enough that it'll expose these satellites directly to, the space weather that's coming. And that's why you'll see them put these things in safe mode sometimes. So what they do is they shut them off, basically. They don't really, they don't turn the power off to them or anything like that. But they shut down their functioning. That way when they get hit with all this geomagnetic stuff, or the plasma, the highly charged particles, geomagnetic, what am I talking, anyway. Anyway, when they get hit with that stuff, it can damage it if it's like up and running. So they got a safe mode. And usually, it'll shut it down for like 20 minutes and bring it back up. And again, they can control all this anyway. But, and it adds density to where the satellites are at. And it will cause drag. So the satellites will actually start to fall out of orbit unless they get them back up into orbit. They got to steer them back in. So that's why this stuff's important to understand. Now, this is, again, I wanted to point that out because we had this conversation over on Matthew Shipley's channel in the chat. Somebody out there is going to come out here and say stuff like, well, an alien farted and knocked this satellite all out of whack. And they're going to be serious. I mean, you're going to hear some of the craziest stuff. But that's not what, this is just a calibration roll, guys. It really is. And it came right back. Now, I think Carrington 2024, or who was it? Man, I'm sorry if I forget who I was speaking with over there. But they were saying it was like the cha-cha. So that was pretty, I think it was Carrington. Anyway. But yeah, so I say that just to add a little fun to it. But, the fact of the matter is, when people don't understand what they're looking at or don't research the tools like I was when I first started my channel, because I used to make a big deal about stuff like this. I don't anymore because I understand what's going on. I understand that, and especially, when I worked on machinery, it really did give me kind of a better understanding when I started kind of comparing the two. A technician's a technician, you can understand certain terms here, especially if you're a photographer, you probably really understand this imaging really, really well. But again, this is something very, very explainable. So, don't say somebody's out there like God's playing kickball or something, but I don't know. That ain't what's going on. So just saying. Now, all right. Let's go back here. This is the coronal hole. And that, again, guys, we've got, I tell you what I'm going to do here. We're just going to use this one here. So we had the Canyon of Fire one. So that's one. We had two of them up here, which was 2, 3. And then you got the other ones that really nobody's paying much attention to. And then you get the flare here. That's 4. We're talking at least 4. I would say 5 at least glancing blows, and probably 3 of those may be direct hits. Okay? So, again, this is the most activity I've ever seen since my channel's been live. Okay? That's just the truth. I can't say it any other way. Now, what can we expect? I mean, I know everybody's wanting to know what's going on. What can we expect? Well, let me take you guys over here, back over here to NOAA. What I like about over here is that they're going to continually update this as the data comes in. Because as these things get closer, we'll have a better idea of what's going on. And they'll adjust the forecast. Okay? So, I'm going to zoom in because they're showing like 3 of these. Okay, already. You don't typically get to see this. This isn't something we see every day. So what I'm going to do is, again, just do that. This is a top-down version up here on the top and the bottom. But this is density up here. Okay, so watch what happens. First off, what this does is it gives you 2 days historic data behind us, what's already happened, and then it tries to forecast out 5 days in advance. I trust it about 2 to 3 days. Anything past that, it always changes. Okay? Now, I know this doesn't look very significant, these little humps right here. But what you have to look at is the chart range. Usually this thing's at 1 to 10. Right now they've got it at, or 0 to 10 I should say, 0 to 40. So you can take this and times it by 4, and that's exactly what would normally look like on a 0 to 10 graph, right? It'd be off the chart, right? So what I'm saying is they have to adjust this, or they just they couldn't give us this. You can't just leave it on 1 because the chart itself would just be too big. It'd be a lot of wasted space on your screen and everything else. So that's why they do that. Same goes with the velocity, okay? So always keep that in mind when you're looking at this, okay? So as I keep moving forward here, here's the 28th, right? That start of the day. Look what, you can see the first CME. I'm going to zoom in even further so you guys can get a really good look at this. It may not let me go in much further. It's not going to. Sorry. But anyway, there's that first CME. That's from the one eruption I already showed you guys over on the 94 angstrom. Okay? There's the second one and the third one. All at the same time. Okay, the second and third are right there. Even though that looks like 1, it's actually 2. Okay? And you can see what happens there. Right? Now, you see how this is going south? If they're off just a little bit here, if this is off just a little bit here, this is extremely difficult to forecast is what I'm trying to say. And if it's off at all, I'm telling you. And again, I have to stress, I always say this, but can you guys, you got to look at the BZ, the polarity. Before we go to that, you see how you get a little space here? That's that snowplow stuff I've been talking about, guys. You get a faster one behind a slower one in front, like this one. Look at that. Look how close those two are. So you're going to get like an extra CME impact in between those, because the particles are going to just pile up, just like a snowplow does with the snow. Okay? So that's what's going on there. That happens every time. You hear people talk about a cannibal CME. That's what they're talking about. They don't one doesn't eat the other. They never combine, as a matter of fact. Usually they're like repelling from one another because of magnetism. But if the one's moving faster from behind, it'll do that. It'll seem to become one, but it doesn't. You get like 3 hits there. You get the initial shot from the first CME, you get the snow pile in the middle, and then you get the second CME. So if you guys count all 3 of those, that's 3 hits and 2 CMEs. We're looking at 4 to 5 glancing blows at least. So guys, I am not going to sit here and try to tell somebody exactly what's going to happen, because I don't know. I don't think anybody does. I'm just being honest. I think people can try to forecast this and get a kind of a good idea, but I guarantee you people are going nuts in these agencies right now trying to figure this out, because it's going to drive them nuts. Some of them are going to get it right, some of them are going to get them wrong, and let me tell you this, it's probably going to happen both ways for everybody. What's going to happen is you're going to get part of it right and part of it wrong. I'm being honest there. That's what happens typically when you're talking about all these eruptions. Now, anybody that hasn't been in Space Mother very long, like myself, really, my channel I wasn't here during the last sun cycle. So this is the first time I'm able to show you guys solar maximum. That's what you're looking at, guys. This is solar maximum. And it's going to continue for a good amount of time like this. Now, you're going to have lull times. I mean, you're not always going to have 5 CMEs coming at Earth. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you're going to have a lot of eruptions, and we've been seeing them for the past 6, 8, almost a year now, but they haven't been directed at Earth multiple times. We've had a couple like back-to-back, like double hits and things like that were heading our way. We were like, man, that looks pretty significant, right? Well, I can tell you right now, this is significant. Okay, I don't see us getting out of this without getting some good geomagnetic storming, some awesome aurora, you know, and again, if you want to talk about the dangerous stuff, then, you know, again, we do have to address that. I mean, it is something that I'm not going to sit here and ignore. I mean, we do have to take in consideration when these things hit. We can see electrical issues, guys. You know, I really try not to go down that road unless I have to, and I've always said that to you guys. You know, I'm not going to come out here and say it if I don't think it's actually going to happen. I'm not ever going to come out here and fear it anyway, because this stuff does not scare me. We could have grid down in 5 minutes, and I wouldn't care, because I'm okay. I'm ready. Okay? I mean, I would care, but I mean, you guys get what I'm saying. So, now, this is Lasco C3. This is Soho. You guys see this halo signature? That's from that flare. So it had a CME that turned into an ICME because it left the sun and made it out of the atmosphere of the sun. And here it comes right there. Guys, that was a big blast. Okay, I'm telling you. Now, you guys have also heard me talk about when we do finally, because I mean, we can't dodge it forever, right? When we do finally get that hit that's going to knock the power out, right? And I ain't saying this is it, like I said before. When that does happen, it's probably going to be something similar to a double, triple hit, close to each other, because our magnetic field is going to be bouncing around, and it's not going to have enough time to get back to a stable position to really be able to deflect the stuff really good for us. Okay? That's why the double and triple hit stuff. I would be more apt to say that like a low-level X flare with a, you know, an X flare behind it that was like an X2. Those kinds of things would be hitting our grid a little harder than like an X15 by itself. Okay? That's just my opinion. You know, because you don't have that second hit. And that second hit's really what gets you. Okay? So, what I'm saying, guys, is that's what we look for. And that's when I really pay attention, when I start seeing 2 and 3 of them coming at the same time. And now we're talking 4 or 5. Now, again, you know, I'm not saying that all those are going to hit. I just can't. There's so much stuff going on there. But what I can say, when you see a halo signature, and I've seen 4 now that haven't hit yet, they're on their way. When you see that go around that occulter disc, that blue disc right there is an actual disc on the camera. This is the arm that holds it. Okay? Every once in a while you'll come over here and this arm will be over here, because they flip it 180 to extend its life. The lens. Okay? That's why they do that. But when you see these signatures that completely circle, that's the halo signature. When you see that, it's either coming directly at you or it's going directly behind. And we can prove or show and find out that this is coming, which direction it's going, by looking at what? Here. Because if you see an eruption here and you see this at the same time, you know it's coming at you. Okay? We don't really have stereo A as a side view anymore, guys. It's hanging out by Earth. So we don't have it at like almost a 90-degree angle from the east, which would be the left. Okay? Kind of, yeah. Stereo ahead, out ahead of Earth. I'm not going to get into all that semantical words right now. But I wanted to show you that. Now, I will show you the X-ray here. This is when the first flare hit right there. Okay. What's interesting, and I always think this is interesting, which it shouldn't really like shock me at all, that when we get these, it's on the day side of the planet, right? We all know that has to be, because that's X-ray. It's here, it's moving at the speed of light, so it's here in 8 minutes, right? So it's only going to hit the day side of the planet. Okay? But it's always interesting to me that these things tend to be over water. But if you take into consideration how much of our planet is water, it shouldn't shock anybody. I cracked myself up with that one. I mean, it's like, I'm like, man, how come it always is over? And then it hits me. It's like, my gosh, Mark, come on, man. Wake up. What are you saying? But yeah, that's why. So if you've had that thought that, man, why is it always over the ocean? Well, because the majority of our planet is water. So anyway, thought that was funny. And because I did it today, I was like, man, why is that always over the ocean? I'm like, oh man. Anyway, so you see this, okay, radio blackout area. So what this really affected would be, mariners and stuff out on the water, military boats, fishing, any of those boats and stuff, guys. And up here, I mean, the grand stuff that's still radio blackout stuff. Probably R1 level at that point, but right here in the middle would be R2, the strongest it got. So I'm sure they had some issues. And then, here on the coast, obviously, Mexico looks like they got it pretty good. But it doesn't last very long, okay? It's typically 20 minutes, maybe an hour sometimes. See how fast it fades off? Okay? And then right there, you see that? That little surge? You know what that was? That was the second flare that probably nobody's going to talk about. But anyway, there you go. So I wanted to show you that. Now, guys, if you guys got any questions, fire it in the chat. Tag me on it, though, so it shows up for me. I'm not going to sit here and read I'm trying just to glance at the chat once in a while. I trust my mods. My mods are awesome. Thank you, mods. You guys make my life so much easier. It's ridiculous, I just have to say. Best mods in the world, everywhere. I'm telling you. It's just awesome. Hey, Miss V, good to see you. Hey, birthday. Good to see everybody. Hey, Trish, good to see you. Trish, Stephanie, Kim. I think Kim was in here from the beginning. I think Stephanie's been here for a while, too. Thank you guys so much, really. Kathleen, good to see you. Bubba News is in the house. Oh, yeah. Daryl Calhoun's here, too. Honey Badger. Oh, yeah. Anyway, let me get back to the space weather. Okay, so. All right. Oh, yeah, by the way, guys, get over to the lifeboat when you can, please. Man, oh, man, I forgot. Shoot, I bet they went live at 8. Daggone it. Anyway, please go check the lifeboat out, guys. If you guys know anybody in addiction, recovery, or no family members, you yourself needs help, please go over there. He's branching out into some true crime and some prison content too. Okay, so there's a whole lot of stuff going on over there now. So if you want to check it out, get over there and check it out, guys. Miss B's over there a lot. Hilly's in the house. Heck yeah. Oh, thank you, Miss B. Thank you. Hey, IG, good to see you. Oh yeah, it reminds me. Every time I see IG, guys, get over to Ron Tyler's channel too, Emergency Management Associates. Yeah, for earthquake stuff. Anyway, let me get back focused here. Sorry, guys. So, I tell you what. Let's go here to seeds real quick, because I do want to show you seeds. And we'll check out some of the coronagraphs, because this is where we really are able to see the stuff pretty good. All right? So this is on the 26th. This is from LASCO C2. It's on the Soho Observatory, which is a satellite about 1 million miles closer to the sun. It's the same blue image I showed you earlier over on NOAA. but it was this is a more zoomed in version. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go back another day or two here. So here's the 24th, and I showed these already, but you know, this is when it all started. Okay. 23rd, 24th, this is the 25th, 26th. Notice how you're seeing, if I was to slow this down, guys, you would see halo eruptions, multiple ones. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to say. We don't really know exactly. I mean, I seen 2 halos right there. That was the big eruption down to the south. All right, and then this one, you see that? That was the M flare. I'm going to pause it. I'll show it to you. Okay. See that? That's a halo. All right? So that's from that M flare. Things coming right at us. Okay? So, again, you know, we just got to pay attention. No doubt we got to pay attention. Okay, let's see what else we got here real quick. Oh, yeah. Okay, here's NASA's version. If that ain't just like in your face, hey, right? Guess what? You know what that one is? This is not the NASA one I showed you guys this morning. This NASA model right here is the one from the M flare. How do I know? If you look at the date up here, that thing don't fire off there until almost the 29th. See that? Now I have to say, guys, this one is not on that NOAA model yet. This one, I don't think that flare is on here yet. It could be, I guess. It might be this one here. I guess it could be. I'm not really for sure there. Okay, I don't want to say something it's not. But if it is, if that's that one, then NASA has got this thing moving faster than what NOAA does. So, you know, I don't know. That thing looks to be moving pretty fast. That's going to be a direct hit. NASA thinks it is anyway. Not only is it like dead middle here on the top-down version, our side cut, which gives us north-south orientation, right in the middle. And then look at our orbital line. I mean, you don't get more of a direct hit. This one here really concerns me more than the other ones as far as having any issues from it. Okay? Because this isn't no glancing blow. This is right on your chin. Okay? So, again, ain't nobody scared. Ain't nobody fearful. If you guys get fear anytime listening to me, listening to anybody on the internet, walk away for a while. Please, go watch something else. Seriously. You're not going to do yourself or anybody else any good if you're scared. You shouldn't be. Right? You know, I'm a Christian, and you know, I live by the mantra, you know, I keep oil in my lamp at all times. Right? What's that mean? That means I stay ready. Okay? If you stay in that mindset, right? When something happens, you don't react in fear. You just react. The fear isn't there. There might be concern and there might be haste in what you're doing, but you're not going to be fearful. You're going to make so many more better decisions. You're going to make so many more, you know, people around you will calm down because you're calm. You know, it's a chain reaction. If somebody gets scared, a lot of times it just makes everybody next to them get all antsy and all scared and stuff like that. Well, if you're ready for everything, or ready, at least as ready as you can be, you're going to have the opposite effect on people. You're going to be calming them down. So, you know, in the aspect of Christianity, you know, they tell you to keep oil in your lamp. what that means is be ready for the second coming at all times. Right? And so, and for me, that's that's what I believe. And so I do. I'm not going to be stuck on the roof. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who reads the Bible knows what I'm talking about there. But anyway, I don't want to go too far deep into that right now. But I do think it's important to keep oil in your lamp in all aspects of your life. You will be much better for it. I promise. Okay. So, what we're going to do, I am going to take you down here and show you, let's see here. Man, I tell you. Let's go to the, well, I'm not even going to show you what can happen. I'm just going to tell you. Right? You know, when low-level geomagnetic storms, you don't really see much but extra aurora. Sometimes you'll see some low-level electrical stuff happening. And it's usually closer to the poles. Why? Because things happen on the poles more because of magnetism. It gets drawn into our system on the poles, right? So when we start seeing stuff down towards the equatorial regions, that's when we really pay attention because it's overcame that. Which means it hit hard enough that it got through anyway. Right? And like I said earlier, what determines that? Well, right here. A lot of it is determined right here. You see this red line? It's called the BZ. That is the magnetic polarity. Right? That's the orientation, the magnetic polarity orientation over a magnetic field. Okay? So what you're looking at there, when you see a -6, that's the threshold we look for. If it gets to a -6 in position, it's in a negative position in such a way that it draws in the space weather. So anything that's in a positive orientation will get sucked into the negative one. Negative and positive attract each other. Now, in the instance that, you know, the CME that's coming is going to hit is the same polarity as the VZ, it will have the opposite effect. Okay, it will deflect it. That's just what happens. Negative and positive, they, you know, opposites attract, right? Magnetism. So if they're the same, they're going to repel. Which is a lot of the reason why you can't really have a true cannibal CME. Because that magnetism is, they're pushing against each other. So they can't combine. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about that stuff, guys. And somebody's talking about it. But remember, you know, just because it's a big blast doesn't mean it's going to give us a big hit. I can't tell you how many times I've done it and I had to quit doing it. I had to quit saying, hey, this is going to be a whatever, and it ends up being a nothing burger because of this. The BZ. So just keep that in mind, guys. We really have to keep that like right up there. Now, again, if it's powerful enough, it's going to overcome that anyway. It just is. It's going to make it in. You're going to get cracks in the magnetic field, and it's going to, you know, weep in and do whatever. Now, again, if we, you know, with our magnetic field weakening, we all know that it is. I know it's kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people. They don't like to, you know, some people have some very strong opinions on that, and that's fine. But you can look at the data, and the data will tell you that our magnetic field is about 25% weaker than what it was. I think, 10, 12 years ago? And the other thing that some people, you know, that really stress that fact that it's weakening, just like the other people are saying, hey, you know, it ain't no big deal. Well, yeah, it kind of is, but at the same time, we have to keep in mind it's a natural cycle. It's going to happen. Pole reversals happen, guys. We've just never been here for one. So we can get close with our theories and all that, but at the same time, we have to be real about things and understand that we're, you know, and I've been using this example for about a week now. The James Webb Telescope. It's exciting for me because, you know, when you're talking about science and And, you know, like cosmology right now is turned on its head because of this telescope. It's seeing stuff that shouldn't be possible. You know, I mentioned it earlier that it's seen what they think is the oldest discovered solar system. And by aging it, it was only, you know, it shouldn't have been able to get that big that fast. Okay? And they compared it to what they think is basically the start of everything. And it shouldn't, those numbers are not adding up. So they're having some big discussions. And nobody knows the answers. And they're not going to know for a while. But that's what science is. We got to keep asking questions. We got to keep revisiting what we think is real. What we think is the true thing. What we think is how something works. We can get really close sometimes and be really wrong at the same time. That's why the stuff we keep doing what we do. So keep that in mind. And you can, you know, step that down to what I'm talking about right here. Nobody has been here for a pole reversal. Yeah, we can go look at all the data, all the sedimentary layers. We can look at all the evidence and everything else that everybody talks about. And we should. And we should try to understand it the best we can. But we always have to have that mindset that, hey, guess what? You know, maybe I ain't 100% right, or maybe I'm completely wrong. So don't let your ego get in the way, is what I'm saying. And I see that so many places. And, yeah. Now, let me say this too. Just because somebody has an ego doesn't mean they're wrong either. Okay? Just saying. You know, it's up to you to decide what you think is going on. And I encourage everybody to listen to everybody. And that's the purpose. We need the conversation. But it has to be respectful. It has to be constructive. And it has to be real. And that requires people to be able to drop the idea that they know everything. The second that you think you know something, know everything about any particular thing, is the second you quit learning. So don't ever think that. Be confident in what you think you know. Assert it. But if somebody comes to you with real stuff and says, hey, I think you might have been wrong and here's why, don't be so prideful and egotistical to the point you can't listen to them. And listen to them intently and really listen to what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Oh, anyway, I'm just going to move on with that. But I just think you guys are awesome. I just have to say that. Thank you, mods, again. Hey, Seventh, good to see you, bud. Hey, don't forget to drop me a dad joke in the comment section. I'll pin it there. I pinned the last one, I think you did. But anyway, so yeah. So guys, we really going to have to pay attention to this. I am going to go ahead and cut out of here, guys. We've been on here for a minute now. Let's see how long we've been on here. Oh, goodness. Looks about an hour ago, doesn't it? Yep, right at about an hour. Okay. So, anyway, guys, I am going to, you know, if anything else happens, and it probably will. I'll tell you what, we'll just let this thing play as I kind of chime out here. And again, guys, please go check out all the channels. I always say, Mark Pyers. Get over and check out Marfugal. They're going to be live here in a little while. Marfugal TV, Marfugal News. Adam and Dex are awesome people. The mods over there are what I consider them family. Again, the Lifeboat, go check them out. Ron, everybody else I always talk about, guys. But if anything else happens, guys, I promise you I will be back on here. This is my second live stream today. So, yeah. When stuff like this is going on, I'm going to be here. And I'm feeling like I'm getting into a cycle now, too, to where I'm going to be able to continue this. Okay? My goal is to at least be here once a day for you guys. And I think I'm really close to being able to do that. I had to move some stuff around and all that, but yeah, had to buy some equipment too. My internet signal couldn't get where I was sitting, right? I mean, it was there, but if you guys remember about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I tried to do a live stream, and for whatever reason, it wouldn't work. And I figured out my signal wasn't strong enough in that room. So I had to go buy an extender and everything else. But anyway, that's what's going on. So I am going to try to be here. And so anything else happens, guys, I'll be here, I promise. Go check out Hilly for some great Bible coverage. I think Mark's doing like a Bible study too, reading his grandpa's or great-grandpa's Bible. It's like a really old Bible from like 1770 something. It's really cool stuff. You guys should go check it out. So anyway, guys, God bless. Yahusha saves. And thank you, mods. Love you guys. You can drink this Kool-Aid. One more thing, guys. Sorry. Get over and check out Johnny Scoville over at Chase the Heat. If you guys like hot peppers, like watching people eat some really hot stuff, he's the GOAT of pepper eating, guys. Seriously. He's Tommy's brother, so yes, they both have the last name Scoville. Is it their real name? No, it's not. So people ask me that all the time. Everybody knows it's not. So anyway, go check out Chase the Heat, guys. Awesome stuff over there, guys. Really fun content. So Tommy's on there sometimes too. So anyway, guys, God bless. Yahusha saves, and yeah, you can drink this Kool-Aid.